disappointed in myself. I've been trying to drink all this since noon.
Oh, God.
It's a little flat.
I can imagine. Oh, we got our first one. Who's watching? First two. Who's watching?
Usually it says so-and-so's watching at the bottom.
I know. Okay, I got the questions up. Aaron, I'm not going to pronounce your name, is watching.
No, my buddy from Colorado.
Nice.
Hey, Aaron.
Joe Montana for Prez.
Joe Montana for Perez. He's the greatest linebacker ever.
I said Joe Montana.
Now you're in?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the Talk is Cheap. This is your host, Zach Cooper, with my co-host, Brent Johansson. So we'll start off with the questions, then we'll go to our picks. Comeback player of the year so far, Cam, Aldon Smith, Big Ben, someone else. You go ahead and take the first one.
For me, that's an easy one. It's got to be Cam Newton. Everyone thought Cam Newton was washed up in Carolina. He took a whole year off. Minus this little COVID thing, Cam Newton's played lights out football. To me, there's no one else that even rings close than Cam Newton.
Yeah, I got to go the same. I don't like to be boring and pick the same pick, but he's so far ahead of everybody else that it's pretty hard to even think about anybody else. There's I think Aldon Smith would be the only other one that's even remotely into that conversation. He's playing extremely well after being off for so many years. But he's still nowhere near what Cam's doing right now in New England. The only person that's beating Cam right now is COVID. So other than that, Cam's playing lights out. It's good to see him back on the field. I had a lot of doubts about his legs after what he's been through, so it's good to see that he looks like he's 100%. So, what does Atlanta do this offseason? Finally get rid of the big names. I would go, if I'm Atlanta, I'd go total rebuild at this point. Fire your coach because he's terrible. Your GM's not that good either. Maybe you should think about possibly doing that. Trade Julio Jones. He's aging. This will be a good time to trade him and get something because by the time you're good again, he won't be the Julio he is now. And Matt Ryan's got to go because he plays half games of football consistently, and you can't have that. That doesn't help your team. I mean, his numbers at the end of the game look great, but go back and look at box scores and you'll see he either plays just the first half or he plays the second half. He never completes a full 4 quarters of football. And he used to be an MVP guy, but he just looks like he. It's not that I don't think he can do it anymore. He just looks like he doesn't care anymore. He knows the team's bad, and he just goes out there to get his paycheck. So I would definitely just blow it all up at this point. So
I didn't have a chance to study for this question because apparently I'm blocked. So when it comes to the Falcons, Dan Quinn, he's got to go. He's had a lot of success in Atlanta, but I think that the fountain has run dry there. When it comes to a rebuild, there's a lot of young pieces on that team that I think are still valuable assets there. But I think that if you can find a decent trade partner for Julio Jones, you got to go take that and get it well before Julio starts regressing because Julio's not getting any younger. I'm not sure really what you can get for Matt Ryan. I'm sure that there's a team that might be a quarterback away like Oakland that could use him for a year or two that just might be enough to make him a competitive football team. But those two guys really, I think that their time in Atlanta is done just like Dan Quinn's. Nothing against their talent-wise, but it's just those three are not getting it done in Atlanta anymore. But you have all those young pieces. You have Ridley. You have Deion Jones. Cannot think of the safety's name right now. Neal. And you have Takk McKinley. All those guys keep those on the team as building blocks, and then try to get a quarterback. Todd Gurley's still pounding it pretty good, so get a new quarterback, new head coach, and see where the next 5 years take you.
Okay, Spencer, in the future, maybe you should unblock Brent so we can both see the questions because I forget that you got him blocked, so I didn't send him the question. Anyways, just a suggestion. Next one, how about OBJ finally showing light? Yeah, that he looks good. He looks real good this year. I know he hasn't had a 100-yard game yet, but I think that's because they've been running the ball so well. And when you run for like 307 yards like you did against the Cowboys, you don't throw the ball a lot, right? So I think that his lack of numbers is because of their ability to run the football. But he's looked 100%. Like he looks back to the OBJ he used to be when he's on the field. He's catching everything. He's not dropping the ball anymore. He looks happy. That's something you haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, I just think that this Browns team's clicking right now, and a lot of it is because of OBJ, and the other part's because of the run game. So, yeah, and Baker's not making mistakes. He's not forced to carry the team on his shoulders. So,
yeah, the biggest thing is OBJ looks like he's having fun again, and we haven't seen an OBJ that's had fun in years. So, yeah, that ground attack is really benefiting OBJ because when you got to put the ball in Baker's hands, you're not going to have good results. Baker's not a good quarterback in the NFL. He's not bad, but he is not a quarterback that's going to go out there and put the games on his shoulders and win you games. So a lot of OBJ's just blowout performances. Look at the rushing stats that happen in those games. You'll see between Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're just dominating the game. I know Chubb's out. He's out for like 6 weeks, maybe even more with that. I think it's an MCL sprain.
Yeah.
But Kareem Hunt, he could be a starter on just about any team in the NFL, and he's a backup.
When your backup is Kareem Hunt, you're sitting good.
Yeah, so look for OBJ to continue to put up the numbers, because I can't even think of that other D Johnson, because they've had like 3 of them for the Browns, but that new one, he had like 7.9 yards a carry after Chubb went down. He basically just took over Chubb's role and just ran with it. So the Browns are able to run the ball. OBJ is going to have success. The Browns are looking like a good football team. They're scary this year.
Yeah, they'll be. This will be a real eye opener this week for them. So
out 6 weeks. Okay, thanks for the confirmation, Craig. Hunt should.
Yeah, I agree.
Do okay next one. Yeah, I agree.
How the fuck do Patricia and Quinn still have a job? I don't know. I don't know. I could do, like Craig said underneath that comment, I could do a whole episode on why they're not going to, but we've already covered that last week, so I don't think we need to touch base on it again. They shouldn't be there. And the fact that they are still there is a joke at this point. But you have anything to add to that?
Well, as far as I understand it, and Lions fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm understanding, Patricia doesn't call the offensive plays anymore. That's more of a Bevel move. And so you could even argue that Bevel needs to go. Bevel had great play calling last year, but if you go and punch the New Orleans Saints in the mouth and get up to a 14-0 lead, and then you just immediately take your foot off the brakes, that's going to allow them back in. You don't deserve to be calling the offensive plays if you can blow a 14-point lead in under 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. It was sad. So not only do I think Patricia and Bob Quinn need to go, I think the whole Lions coaching staff, there needs to be a complete overhaul, and that will happen if there's a new head coach. There'll be new offensive and defensive coordinators, but yeah, I don't expect Quinn or Patricia to be here by the end of the year, and if they are there at the end of the year, I don't expect them to. I think it's an end of the year call where they get rid of everyone.
Yeah, and just to touch on what he said, I have a love-hate relationship with Bevel because I think when he's being aggressive, he's a great offensive coordinator. He's very creative, but he just gets too conservative way too quickly, and that's a problem. And then you see what he does when he's aggressive. At the beginning of the Saints game and the end of the Saints game, they were kicking the Saints' ass, but it's right after they took the lead to when they needed to push the gas pedal again. That was the problem.
Yeah.
The offense clicks if he could just stay like that, but for some reason I think he gets the Patricia syndrome and thinks he's a genius and he doesn't need to change anything, even though the results aren't there, right? Because the Lions have the ability to be a good offense. With all those names on there shouldn't be a reason they don't. I mean, yeah, they still scored 29 points, but my point is they could be a top 3 offense if they just put their foot on the gas the entire time.
Yeah.
But they don't. So, yeah, I agree with you, and the defense coordinator's trash too, so they could all go.
That's another, let me add that side point. Corey Underlin came from Philadelphia, right? So, I know all about him. He was our secondary coach, and he had the 32 or the 32nd ranked passing defense in the NFL. how the hell does a guy get fired and then gets a promotion when you have the worst secondary in the NFL? You get a promotion to be a defensive coordinator. It makes no sense to me.
Roses are red, Miami's by Daytona. The only thing that can stop the Titans is being fucked by the Rona.
Hey, Stefan, maybe if the Titans didn't have illegal practices, they wouldn't, maybe miss the next game. Because, if you're not supposed to practice, you don't go hide out at a football stadium or a high school football stadium and go practice anyway. It's kind of against the rules, brother. That was a good poem, though.
How far do you feel the Patriots can go with Newton? And does he get another year with the Patriots? What's the weaknesses of the Cowboys' defense? Okay, let's do one question at a time. Okay. You put too many in one thing. How far can the Patriots go with Newton?
Winners win, Brent. We're playing for keeps. that was good.
All right. How far can the Patriots go with Newton, and do you think he'll be extended?
Okay, I 100% think that Newton's going to get extended. He's been playing great football. Look at what Hoyer and Stidham provided when they faced Kansas City Chiefs, and you'll see why they're going to really want to sign Newton.
Stidham wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that great. He threw a pick six. He should have had 2 pick sixes. But I think that for how far Cam can take the Patriots, I think that he'll get them. They're not going to win the division, I don't think. I think if Josh Allen can keep this up, Buffalo's going to win the division for the first time in like 20 years. But I think that New England is going to take one of those 3 available playoff spots. I think that's pretty safe to assume. I could see a wild card win, and I really want to see how Cam plays against the Buffalo Bills to see how they're going to shake up the division before I say if those 2 meet up in the divisional, who would win that. But I think they'll win whoever they face off in the wild card unless Kansas City somehow doesn't get in or doesn't take the top seed. That's what I meant, the top seed, so they have bye week. If Kansas City faces them in wild card weekend, Kansas City's going to mop them up. But I think every other team that they in the AFC they have a chance of beating in the wild card round. It's BC, I agree. I think after the wild card round, it's really depending on who New England faces. But I think that they make it to at least the divisional round. I don't see them getting necessarily to the AFC Championship game. They could, but I think as far as I'm concerned, it's Kansas City's season to lose.
Okay, does not. Oh, there we go.
Not to say Stidham is a starter by any means, but he didn't exactly cost them. Yes, he did. He threw the pick six that cost him the game.
No, the pick six went out of Edelman's hand.
Yeah, but that pick six costed him the game. Said it didn't have. Okay, that's neither here or there. That Edelman mishap cost him the game because it was a close game before that.
Yeah, what he's saying is Edelman cost him the game, not Stidham. That's what he's trying to say.
But Stidham doesn't throw it to Edelman, then it doesn't turn into a pick six. But yeah, I have New England possibly being a divisional round playoff team. That's about as far as I'm comfortable saying.
Yeah, he kind of stole what I was gonna say. I want to see him play the Bills because I think that Bills defense could give Cam a run for his money because he's a run first QB.
They match up so well.
They match up good. Now the Bills defense is far from perfect, especially this year because of no off season. So all the defenses kind of look, all the defenses except for freaking Indy look bad, like somewhat bad. They all seem like they have holes there. Indy's first in every defensive category. I just seen that today, by the way. That's
I'm not ridiculous. Even starting them in fantasy this week.
Okay.
You want to know why?
Okay.
I'm starting the Arizona Cardinals defense over the Indianapolis Colts defense. Jets. They're Joe playing Flacco. The Jets. It's easy money. But no, Colts are great.
I before I fully say how far I think they can go, I do need to see them play the Bills. I don't think they're going to win the division because I really think the Bills are for real now.
Yeah.
I know he especially had some doubts coming into the year, but they've proven they can beat some good teams this year already.
Yeah.
They beat the Rams, they beat the Raiders, who despite they're probably 2-3 after this year, they'll get a playoff spot. So they're beating teams that are tough competition this year, which they didn't do last year. So it looks like they're taking a step forward. Cam's definitely should get extended. I don't know how long he'll get extended because he's not young anymore, but he'll get, I think, probably a 3-4 year deal probably. As long as he doesn't completely just shit the bed from here on out, which I don't see happening, but he would have to completely just bomb out to not get re-signed.
Yeah.
But
conspiracy theory. Titans practice illegal on purpose, knowing we would be punished and forfeited versus Bills. Okay. I'd be scared to face the Bills too, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I got for the Patriots. I just want to wait. I think that they could go as far as the AFC Championship game, or they could go as little as losing in the wild card. But no matter what, I think they're gonna get one of the 3 wild card spots.
Bring that question back after the Patriots face the Bills at least once. I want to see how they go up against each other.
Yeah, I would have to look at. I didn't even look for it on the schedule. I'd have to see where they play. But after they play, definitely bring it up. MVP race update. Is Rodgers now leading? Your take first.
I don't think Rodgers is leading, but I definitely think he closed the gap significantly. It looked like this was a Russell Wilson's MVP race and everyone else was just playing along. But Russell didn't look terrible against Miami, but he did show some flaws. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't showed a single flaw the entire season. And granted, Russell Wilson still has, I think, like 250 more passing yards and 3 more touchdowns, but he also has 2 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers has none. Aaron Rodgers continues to blow out competition. There wasn't a single moment in that game against the Falcons where the Packers weren't in control, and that was without their top 2 wide receivers, their top 2 tight ends.
Agreed, Craig.
Rodgers is a cocky cunt. Yes, that guy's a fucking shithead, but he knows how to play football. So, in my opinion, I don't think Rodgers took the lead, but he definitely brought himself more into the conversation than he previously was. And he already was in the talks, but I think it's more of a conversation now.
Yeah, I have the MVP list the exact same order I had it last week, but I agree with Brent. I think it's much closer than it was last week. I still have Russ 1 and Allen 2, and I think until one of them actually has like a terrible game, it's going to be that way.
Aaron Jones is the reason. Okay, you could argue that all day long. Aaron Jones is a monster.
Well, I mean, he's still got 13 TDs, no interceptions.
The other Aaron's doing his job too.
I mean, I do agree that it definitely helps having Aaron. Where Josh Allen has less help than the other 2 from the running game at this point in time. So I'm more impressed with Allen, but I think Russ is the leader still. But the race, I just showed Brent the stat the other day. The race between the top 4 candidates between Russ, Rodgers, Allen, and Mahomes is like all separated by less than 3 TDs and less than 100 yards. Wilson's actually only got 55 more passing yards than Rodgers.
I think Mahomes has he's like 500 yards behind passing than Russ is at first. But it's the same thing. Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception, even though he should have had. I could have intercepted Mahomes on that play on the opening drive against the Patriots. That was horrible. But he got very lucky there. That McCourty couldn't catch. I see Rodgers as me as the same person, but with Madden.
So my off days are Zach's career games. Shut up! If my career games in Madden were as good as your off games, Stefan, I'd be a lot better Madden player. I just want to say that.
What about Dak? Dak is playing great football this year. I'm an Eagles fan, and Dak's throwing up almost 500 yards a game. He's. I think he probably has more than 1,500 yards, honestly. Dak, if his defense wasn't absolute garbage, the Cowboys are probably undefeated this season. But no, Dak's playing good. And this is the worst time for Cowboys fans for Dak to be playing good football because you're going to have to pay that guy like $50 million a year after this.
And you really need to put pieces on that defense.
Yeah.
I'll say this about Dak. You can say what about Dak, and he's playing probably lights out and just as good as MVP candidate, but he's not an MVP candidate because his team's 1-3, and that's just how it rolls.
Yeah.
So, and unless they push like a 10-game winning streak here, he's not an MVP candidate.
Yeah,
That's just we don't make the rules. That's just how it goes. He won't be considered for an MVP. We said the same thing about Stafford last year. He was having an MVP year, but he would have never won it because his team wasn't winning games. So.
Part of being a most valuable player is putting wins on the board, not just stats.
It is. So he might win Offensive Player of the Year. Dak could. That's a
very attainable goal.
Yeah. So I mean I wouldn't be upset at that if he won that if he continued on this pace.
Yeah.
But
that'd be the second time he won it, didn't he? I think he won it the same year that Zeke won Rookie of the Year.
Zach, give the entire NFC North a letter grade, and then have Brent do the same thing for his teams in the division. Well, your team should be pretty easy. Okay, so I'll start at the top then, and I'll do Packers. I'm gonna give them an A-. I only say A- because they looked almost flawless, but their defense is kind of taking a little step back from last year, and that's the only reason I'm taking even a knock off their solid A. But I think that they are definitely a threat to be the best team in the NFC, right there with Seattle and possibly Tampa with the way they've looked lately. So I have no really knock on them other than the fact that their defense kind of is a cushy defense. But again, like I just mentioned like 2 questions ago, the entire league kind of is like that right now, except for they drank something in Indy. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, they're the only defense that doesn't look like it's got any holes. So, but the Bears, this one's a tricky one because they're 3-1, so I don't want to seem like I'm a dick with this letter grade, but I'm gonna give them like a C- because they've only beat trash football teams, and they've barely beat trash football teams, and they're 3-1. They played a real team this last Sunday, and they got the shit kicked out of them. And I don't want to hear one-score game because they scored a touchdown in garbage time, like literally a minute and a half left, and that's where they got 8 of their 11 points. So the Bears are bad. They're not a good football team. I don't think they'll even finish second in this division. So yeah, I got to give them a C- now. And then the Vikings, I'm gonna give them a C. I think they're trending upwards. They would have been an F 2 weeks ago. I think their defense is starting to finally get better. Their offense is clicking now. They're getting time to be on the field. Dalvin Cook's leading the league in rushing TDs, and Thielen and Jefferson are balling out. So they're trending upwards, but they're still 1-3. They still have pass coverage issues.
What's up, Jeff?
What's going on, Jeff?
Hey guys, can I ask a serious question?
No, he said I can't ask serious questions.
Oh.
So yeah, I give them a C, and then Detroit. D+ probably. They have the ability to score some points, so I guess that keeps them out of the F range. But I mean, honestly, their coaching holds them back so much. Like their coaching is bad. If Adam Gase didn't exist, they'd be like Patricia's the worst head coach in the league. God, it's hard. It's so hard because the team's got a lot of talent on there, but they just don't live up to it because the coaching's terrible. They never blitz. They play man covers the entire game, which teams know that, so they see it. So they're like, oh, the man, so we know what to run here. The only game they didn't do that the entire game, they won. So, I mean, it's crazy that they just went right back to it again. Like, it was like, what are you doing? But that's the Lions for you, so that's my grades for the NFC North right now. So
the NFC least. All right, let's get at it. Starting from the bottom, the Giants, F. They suck. No Saquon, no wins this year. They're going to be with the Jets. The 2 New York teams are going to be picking 1 and 2. Next, Washington football team, F. They suck. Not great when you're in week 5 now? Week 4? Whatever week we're in. And you're having a quarterback change. Not a great start. F. Dallas Cowboys. Great offense, no defense. I'll give you a C for that. Split right down the middle. Philadelphia Eagles. The sole division leaders at 1-2-1. I'm giving them less than the Cowboys. I'm giving them a D+ there. Yes, they've had a tremendous amount of injuries, but who hasn't in the NFL? Everyone's got injuries across the board. Yes, the Eagles might have more. They might have just around the same, but it's key positions are gone. But you shouldn't tie the Bengals. You should beat the Bengals. The Rams game, I could see why that would have been a loss. They just didn't come to play. But then they gave up 27 points to the Washington football team. Didn't deserve those. The only reason they didn't get an F is because they went out and they smacked San Francisco in the mouth when they were minus 9.5 favorites over the Eagles. So they can show that they can beat competent football teams. Yes, the Niners had injuries too, but just like I'm not saying that you can give the Eagles slack for having injuries, you can't give the Niners slack for injuries because injuries happen. So Cowboys have the best rank in my opinion. On offense they just look lights out. It's just their defense. I said that I've never seen a poorer defense than what the Eagles put out in Week 1 against the Washington football team. Imagine having to see that every week because the Cowboys' defense is just horrendous.
They're bad.
Like no. Like, you should not be giving up 30-plus points a game, but they are.
Haskins, are they giving up on him too soon? He's not playing the worst. He's one of the most publicly messed up.
Oh. Okay.
We get the gist.
So, since I'm talking about the NFC East, I'll just continue and then let you go. I do think that they're giving up on Haskins too early. Haskins is not a great quarterback by any means. I wouldn't even put him as a good quarterback. But if you spend a first-round pick on a quarterback, you shouldn't give up on him in less than a year, and that's what they're doing. It completely kills his mojo. You wasted draft stock. First-round picks are incredibly valuable. He has shown in portions that he can lead a team to wins. He's beaten teams before. It's not like he's never won games. He's won games against the Eagles. I can't remember what team he beat last year where he went and started taking pictures with fans. That was pretty unsportsmanlike, but first win in a long time for him. So I think that they are giving up on him too early, especially because it's not even Alex Smith that's taken his job. Who you would have thought it's Kyle Allen. That
was whack.
Yeah. Which makes me think that Alex Smith isn't really ready to come back. It's just kind of a motivational thing. But, yeah, I do think they're giving up on Haskins a little too early.
I guess the good thing about having a talk show with two hosts is you can get two completely different opinions. I don't think they're giving up on him too soon. And here's why. Because when they drafted him, it was the era before in coaching before now, right? So when new coaches come in, they usually don't like to stick with the guy that they had before that unless he's a star. Haskins is not a star. Haskins is a below-average quarterback. He's proven it, and he's got attitude problems. He's proven that already. Anytime he gets in any type of trouble or a coach tells him anything or anything like that, he goes and pouts on the sideline, doesn't want to look at the tablet, anything like that. Like, those are not qualities you want in the leader position of your team. And that's a big deal. And a lot of people are going to say he's not playing the worst, but he's also not playing the best. And you got to see what else you got there. And I'm pretty sure they're probably planning on taking a quarterback if they're getting rid of him, or if they're giving up on him already.
Trevor Lawrence.
So they probably already have something in mind. They might have one win too much for Trevor Lawrence already. So, because I don't know if the Jets are going to win a game.
I don't see the Jets taking Trevor Lawrence, so.
They could if they fire Gase, though. That new coach may.
It just depends on who the coach is, because Darnold's shown incredible promise already, but maybe not this year. OSU quarterbacks, am I right?
Oh, God, they're awful. They're terrible.
You really can't think of one that has had success, really. I think, did Tyrod come from Ohio State?
Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking Troy Smith.
Troy Smith, yeah. Troy Smith did. Yeah. Barrett. I don't even know if he plays in the leagues anymore.
He was the Saints' fourth string quarterback, but Jameis came along. So
yeah, you've had just a bunch of busts.
Cardale
Jones, yeah. Just Ohio State quarterbacks are awful. I don't remember the last one that was actually good. I'm sure somebody in here probably knows and could tell me, but it's been a while.
Some teams just can't. There's some positions on some college teams that just don't translate to the NFL. And Ohio State, that's the quarterback position. A lot of their other players end up being stars, but quarterback is not one for Ohio State.
Oregon, usually.
Herbert, it's still early on Herbert.
Early, okay, but usually Oregon's the same way.
And Joey Harrington has some flashes too, so. let's not write Herbert off as the rookie of the year already.
Yeah. So. Virginia Tech with
yeah.
Tyrod. Yeah, I knew that.
I mixed him up. My bad.
It's only been 4 games, but how do you feel about the job Kevin Stefanski has done with the Browns to this point? I like it. Better than what he did in Minnesota, I can tell you that. I was super happy when he left. But I guess he's kind of implementing the same game plan as he did in Minnesota, but Minnesota was more suited to pass the ball more than Cleveland is, okay? Like, I know that Minnesota's got Dalvin Cook, but they also had wide receivers and a quarterback, both, that could air the ball out. And so I think that running it too much, if Dalvin wasn't clicking, then they couldn't get in sync with their receivers, where here in Cleveland you have 2 star running backs, so no matter what, one of them is going to be clicking. There's almost no way you shut both of them down. So it's almost the same game plan he ran in Minnesota. They're just more built for it.
The Cleveland Browns, a good team, even better meme. That's good.
I hope you watch live every time. You can bring some entertainment in the comment section, Stefan. Yeah, but you can't knock anything he's done. You can see the difference between the Freddie Kitchens Browns and the Kevin Stefanski Browns. It's way better. I mean, it's too early to say he's a 100% success, but through a quarter of the season, he's doing a good job. They're on pace to go 12-4. That's pretty good. I don't like the ass kicking the Ravens gave him week 1, but it was week 1. Hardly any OTAs. You weren't really gelling yet. So I would like to see him play the Ravens again, and we'll see where they go then. So as of right now, I would give him a solid B+ for Cleveland just because he got that ass spanking in week 1. But since then, from weeks 2 through 4, I give him an A. So
what days is it? It's always Wednesday, man. That'd be Bezos' packaging, bitch. Yeah, Wednesday, 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere around there. We usually kick it off.
Yeah. Always same time every week. We usually do 7:30 unless one of us has something where it's going to push it a little later.
Yep.
But we always announce it the day before, so I tag you in the post every time, Stefan. So if you don't look at it, that's your own fault.
For the Browns, for my my view of it, after week 1, I wasn't so sure. It was very quick for me to have any kind of opinion because the Ravens came in and just smacked around Cleveland. It wasn't great. But since then, Cleveland has looked like one of the top teams in the NFL. And it amazes me how they still are not getting the respect that I believe that they've earned. Every week, they're always underdogs. And they're just coming out and smacking teams.
You're good, Stefan. See you later, bro.
So, yeah, I think, what's this dude's name? Stefanski. I think he's done a pretty good job, and he's got a star-powered offense. He's got a lot of big names on defense. He's making it work. I think that he's done a pretty damn good job. I could look at him as one of a more top-tier coach in the next couple of years if he can keep it up, for sure.
Yep. What excuses will Vikings fans use after the loss Sunday night? You just wait till we get to that, okay?
Oh, we're gonna wait. Okay.
No. For at least for me, you can say whatever you want to say here.
Our rookie cornerbacks. We don't play good in Seattle. We don't have Danielle Hunter. Russell Wilson's our daddy. Probably those 4.
I don't make excuses when I lose, so
yeah.
You're not looking for me. Okay, let's say the Lions get on a winning streak with all these garbage teams ahead. Does that mean Fatty gets another chance? You know what? I'm scared that is going to be the thing, okay? Because they have, from what I read today, they have the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL. I don't like that it looks as easy as it is, because that's why I wanted them to fire him now, like during the bye week, so that this doesn't happen, because they should be able to beat a good handful of these teams just off their talent alone, even though their coaching's inept. So I guess the only thing Lions fans can hope for if they don't want them to stick around is that they just drop these games that they should. But they're the Lions, so they do drop games that they should. So it's anybody's guess. But yeah, if he gets on a win streak, I guess it depends, because I'm pretty sure that the Ford family made it pretty clear that he had to make the playoffs to keep his job. So he would have to make sure that the Lions are better than one of the NFC West teams. Good luck.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I think the writing's kind of already on the wall in Detroit. I don't know if the Lions are going to wait until the end of the season, just because, like, who is going to step up as the interim coach? Are they just going to cancel, like, just settle for all the rest of the games being losses, or what's going to happen? But I don't even think. I think the only way he keeps his job is if somehow he turns it all around and gets in as a wild card, and then he can make that argument. Well, when I came to Detroit, there was a lot of work to do. Well, he can argue that he did the necessary changes to get them to the playoffs, even though it took a lot of mediocre years to do it.
Mediocre? It wasn't even mediocre.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of Lions fans in here. I don't want them to lynch me out here.
There's a lot of Lions fans that agree with you.
But I think that he's done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who the Lions' new head coach will be. I really hope it's the offensive coordinator from Kansas City, Bieniemy. I think he would bring a lot of spark there. Comes from a great coaching tree.
So I want to point this out here. Okay, I think Stafford's, if they don't make the playoffs, I vocally said I think Stafford will get traded. But if they bring in Eric Bieniemy, I don't think he'll get traded. I think Eric Bieniemy will want Stafford there. So that's the only candidate I could see replacing him where Stafford does not get traded. So I just want to throw that out there. But that would be my pick for head coach. But there's going to be a lot of people who want him to be head coach. So we'll find out where he goes. So, last question before we get to our picks. Who currently is the best sports commentator, football only? Joe Buck sucks. Yeah, I think me and Brent both agree that Joe Buck sucks. Okay? He made the Hall of Fame, I think, pretty much riding off his daddy's coattails.
Yeah,
and the fact that Troy Aikman carries him through a game because Troy Aikman's a good commentator.
Yeah. Urban Meyer, head coach.
Oh, dude, I'll stop watching the Lions. I will
think
not watch the Lions.
I think it'd be a great pickup, but I don't think he wants to coach because, like, there's a reason why he left Ohio State. I can't remember if it was a heart condition or something, but he can't handle the loud noise from the stadium. So the NFL is louder than college. So
Well, no, that depends. Not Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah, but that's a dome, so imagine all the...
Yeah, I guess in a dome you could see it possibly getting close, but yeah, I think he's done coaching, and I don't want any Ohio State people coming here to coach. Period. The best sports commentator, that's got to be Tony Romo. That's my opinion anyway. Romo pretty much knows, like, he uses his football IQ that I don't know why he didn't use when he actually played, because he knows exactly what's going to happen before it happens, and it's like creepy. Right? Like, it's like, how did you ever throw interceptions? Because you should know the safety's going to come over here, so I'm going to...
I notice he's toned that down a lot since his first year doing it, and I wish he would bring it back.
I think people were complaining a lot though, so it's like because
it.
I know my stepmom doesn't really like him because of that. Like, so
I think it's so cool.
I do too. Like, but I could see you not being like a huge football fan and being annoyed by it because like you're trying to watch the game and it's like getting spoilers almost of what's gonna happen. So
yeah.
And he kind of comes off as a know-it-all if you're not like big into football. I think so. Us being into football, we think it's cool. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's Romo. There's a few really good ones out there. Obviously, Al Michaels he's been good for years. Collinsworth gets a lot of hate. A lot of people love, but
I don't mind it.
I know he likes him. I find him a little annoying, but I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people say he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some good ones. John Gruden was really good when he was a commentator, but
now
he
here's
left
a guy.
back. So, but who you got?
So I want to say Tony Romo because Tony Romo makes a lot of these announcers, they're boring and like Booger, that guy sucked.
God, he's gone.
But like Tony Romo, he makes it so fun, and I like it a lot. But he's not my pick as the best announcer. When it comes to the best announcer, it's got to be one of the most iconic sounding voices in all of football, and that's Al Michaels to me. Al Michaels calling the Super Bowl, that's great. And he's unbiased, which is huge for me, because as an Eagles fan, almost all the announcers, they hate the Eagles. They probably because they lost to them as players. So, like, it sucks because when you watch, like, baseball, you can watch, like, your specific team's announcers, and it kind of makes you feel better about your team. You don't really have that in football unless you're a Packers or Cowboys fan, because then, like, the announcers just love your teams for some reason. But Al Michaels he gives a fair announcing. He treats like both teams like it's exciting to watch, and just that voice is very iconic. It's legitimate excitement when there's a big touchdown and stuff. It's just Al Michaels. He's gonna go down as probably, in my opinion, one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he was second on my list for sure.
Yeah.
Mad respect for Al Michaels.
Jim Nance is also not bad.
Jim Nance is good too. I couldn't think of his name. That's who the other. I was trying to think of too when I was stopping before I mentioned Gruden.
Jim Nance and Al Michaels were in basketball together as the announcers for that.
That's a smart pick.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay, we'll go to our picks now for the week. We don't know what's going on with COVID games, so we're gonna pick them as like they are scheduled or that they're gonna be played. So that's how we're going to run through it now. So if you want to start with Thursday's game?
Yeah, so Thursday game, you have Tampa Bay at Chicago. Tom Brady, Nick Foles, Super Bowl matchup from a couple years ago. But Tom Brady's dealing with a lot of injuries. Godwin is officially not playing in this week. Mike Evans is up in the air. O.J. Howard's out for the season. Gronk is he should have stuck in wrestling because he's not doing it in football anymore. So the Buccaneers are coming into this game. They got to travel to Chicago after they just squeaked out a win that they honestly probably didn't deserve against the Chargers. But I got to give it to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was down big. I think it's 24-3 at halftime. Well, 24-10 because they scored a touchdown right before halftime.
24-14.
Was it 14? Well, they were down. Bad. And Tom Brady put that team on his shoulders and got it done with the likes of like Scotty Miller. So,
GOAT.
I think that the Buccaneers are a better football team. Nick Foles is an improvement over Mitch the Bitch, but they're not gonna get a lot of offense done against Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is gonna win this football game.
Yeah. I think Tampa's going to win this game too. Again, it's Tom Brady versus Nick Foles, and when you just compare them, this isn't Nick Foles playoff Nick Foles. This is regular season Nick Foles,
who's not very good.
Who's not that good, right? Outside of his 2013 season, not that good. So I think he is an improvement over Mitch, but I think the mailman has been an improvement over Mitch Trubisky. So it wasn't Mitch Trubisky that sat down in Gruden's QB camp and didn't know what a hard count was?
Yep, didn't know what a hard count was.
That was the guy you guys traded up to get one spot and gave away like 4 picks for.
Didn't even bring Deshaun Watson in for a meeting or anything. Yeah. No interest in it.
Yeah, it must suck to be a Bears fan. Anyways, I think this game is going to be closer just because of all the injuries for Tampa Bay. I do think it'll be a lower scoring, closer game, especially if Evans doesn't play. If Evans plays, I think it'll be more of a blowout type game. But without Evans, and without Godwin, who's officially out, you're limited. You're slim on weapons there. So I think that eventually that catches up to you. But I still think Tampa's talent is too much over the Bears. The Bears' defense isn't what it used to be. So I just think at that point it comes to experience, and Brady has 20-plus years of being one of the best QBs in the game. And I think that's what it comes down to. If Evans is out, I think they win like a 16-13 game. If Evans is in, expect it to be like 27-10 or something.
What did the Lions pass up on OBJ for again? Eric Ebron, right? And
yeah, that's still not as bad as the Mitch Trubisky one. I mean, it was bad, but it's not.
Why is everyone talking about Odell Beckham when they could have had Aaron Donald?
Yeah, that too.
No, another good point about this Buccaneers-Bears game is it looks like Leonard Fournette is going to be available in that rushing tandem, just like we talked with Kansas City, that Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is a huge second-half bruiser. That's how they end up putting games away. If he can come back, I think it's easy Tampa Bay win.
Yeah. So, okay. Carolina, Atlanta. Okay. Teddy Bridgewater looked like a stud the last couple weeks. Okay. He's not throwing a lot of touchdowns, but he's throwing a ton of yards, putting his team right down there, and then they're running it in. So he's doing what he needs to do. And Atlanta looks lost, man. Like, they don't look like they even know football. So it's just crazy to me, like, because you could put Atlanta's talent on a piece of paper, and you'd be like, oh, that team should be a 10-win team. So this is where I blame a lot of this on Dan Quinn, because there's no way that you should be losing games like you're losing. And Carolina looked rejuvenated. They came out, they beat Arizona last week, and they were underdogs in that game. And the week before that, they absolutely beat the shit out of the Chargers. And so far, of the 3 games they played, it's the only one where Herbert didn't look good. So, and like I said, Teddy's played good. And that's what they needed. I thought losing Christian McCaffrey was going to be bad, but they lost Christian McCaffrey. Now they're on a winning streak. It's like, what? What is going on? But I expect the winning streak to continue just because Atlanta's just they don't know what's going on there. Their defense, second worst defense in the league. So they're going to put some points up. They've been putting points up. So it's just a recipe for a disaster for Atlanta. So
yeah, Atlanta looks lost out there. From the first play of that Green Bay game, you could tell that that's a team that has no more motivation to play. They are just there for their paycheck, and they don't care about the wins. Where Carolina, they just punched Arizona right in the mouth last week. Everyone thought Arizona was going to come in after losing to the Lions and just beat up on the Panthers. I know I thought that wasn't the case. I don't think the Cardinals even had a lead in that game. I have to go with the Panthers. One team's trending in the right direction. One team's trending horribly down the wrong direction. I don't think Teddy is going to have an outstanding game just because it is divisional football. But I think he's going to do more to win than what Matt Ryan's going to be able to do. And Matt Ryan's going to have some costly turnovers like he does every game.
Yeah. Buffalo, Tennessee.
So you have battle of the unbeatens right here. Buffalo travels to Tennessee. Hypothetically speaking, they'll do that at least.
Not looking good.
There's a huge advantage towards Buffalo. Not only are they able to go to practice and have team activities, but their whole team's not sick with COVID. Good job, guys. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Tennessee, on the other hand, they couldn't play last week because they have like 400 guys in their whole organization that have COVID. They just had 2 more cases today.
Yeah, Corey Davis, that's big.
Yeah, they just got busted for having illegal workouts or practice, however you want to word it. I think the NFL worded it as practices. Players were sneaking off the team, going to a high school stadium and practicing.
Idiots.
You're going to get in trouble for that. Probably going to get suspended for that. And the Buffalo Bills look like the hottest team in football. That's not Russell Wilson or Green Bay. So I think Buffalo wins this game, and it shouldn't be a close game.
Yeah, I got Buffalo too. I just don't think Josh Allen's hot, and when I mean hot, he's he's blazing hot right now. Okay, so
okay.
Inside jokes there. I don't know if you guys have ever seen American Pie 2, but good shit. Yeah, he right now nobody looks like they can stop him. He runs the ball, he throws the ball, he can do anything to his advantage for Buffalo. He's connected real good with Diggs in that offense. Diggs is actually leading the league in receiving yards at the present moment, tied with DK Metcalf. So Buffalo looks real good. Their defense is stout. Again, don't look quite as good as last year, but again, I kind of went over that with missing the OTAs. But they're still, of defenses in the league, they're a top tier defense. Tennessee runs the football, and I think Buffalo's pretty solid at stopping the run. So it's going to be on Ryan Tannehill to win the game for you, who has not been able to throw to any of his wide receivers in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's not going to have one of his wide receivers because there's no way Corey Davis plays Sunday, even if they play. So, and Corey Davis has kind of broke out a little bit this year, showing that what he should have shown a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And A.J. Brown's hurt. So,
not looking good.
Not looking good for Tennessee. So I just feel like all this is just not going in Tennessee's favor. And I mean, they kind of brought that on themselves, so I don't feel bad for them. But Tennessee is a pretty solid team. I think that they would have a better shot if they were able to practice and stuff. But again, this all falls back on them. But Josh Allen should have a field day in this game. I don't think this game will be close when you can't practice for 2 weeks and half your players are out with the Rona. you're in for an ass whooping.
We got Las Vegas travels to Kansas City. I think I let off the last one. So
Okay. This was the game I said I wanted to see from Vegas to really determine if I think they can make the playoffs. Because no doubt that they're a better team than they were last year. I don't think anybody can say anything, even if they wind up 2-3 after this week. I don't think anybody can really say that they're not better than they were last year. They clearly look like they have more will to win than last year, and they kind of got dicked over in Buffalo last week. I'm not going to try to complain about calls, but they really did get dicked over. I want to see what they do against Kansas City, because last year against Kansas City, they weren't as good as they were this year, and they shut Patrick Mahomes down for 3 out of 4 quarters. So I want to see what they can do now. Having Abram back there at safety helps their defense a lot that they didn't have last year. So let me see this game before I make a choice on the playoffs. But when it comes to predicting this game, I can't not pick Kansas City until somebody can go out there and beat them. I'm gonna always pick them. They had one of the worst games I've ever seen them play Monday night, and they still won by double digits.
Yeah.
And Kansas City don't have those games very often. Okay, like that was the game that New England should have tried to bounce on them. Unfortunately, they started the wrong quarterback, and shit just went in a downward spiral from there. So I don't think they're going to have that again. You don't see them have games like that 2 weeks in a row ever. So Vegas might be in for a rough awakening with Patrick Mahomes this week. So I expect the Raiders to hang in there. They seem to be the division opponent that plays Patrick Mahomes specifically the toughest. Denver keeps the games the closest, but Patrick Mahomes struggles the most against the Raiders. So I want to see what this game goes, but I got Kansas City in a blowout. Even though I want to say it will be closer, but
I have Kansas City in a blowout as well. My primary reason is even though Las Vegas has improved, they're gonna be without Henry Ruggs. They're going to be most likely out without Bryan Edwards. So that leaves Nelson, Mr. Hands himself, Aguilar, as your number one wide receiver with Hunter Renfrow working the slot. If Kansas City can play even a little bit better than they played Monday night, Vegas isn't going to be able to keep up. It's just going to get ugly fast. And that if it gets ugly fast, Josh Jacobs gets taken out of the equation.
And that's key.
And without Josh Jacobs, you do not have a chance against Kansas City. So Kansas City wins this one, and I don't think it's going to be close. The score at the end might look like it was a closer game than it actually was, but you might get some garbage time yards and touchdowns against a not so great Kansas City defense.
My biggest thing for Vegas too, and I'm going to say this every week, is Derek Carr needs to be replaced in Vegas, and then they'll finally be a real team. I think they're improved 8-8, 9-7 probably team, but they're not going to beat Kansas City. So next game we got Denver and New England. So your lead.
This one really, I have New England winning the football game, but it's really depending on if Cam Newton comes and he clears his test and is able to play. I think that I'm hoping he will, but Denver is still, even without Cam, I think Stidham can get them the win because Denver is just beat up.
Stidham will be starting. There's no way they start Hoyer again.
Yeah, Hoyer won't get a chance to play. But Cam or Stidham, I still got to lean towards New England. It's just, they're a better football team. Denver's just way too hurt.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about this game. Stidham or Cam, like he said, doesn't matter. They should win this game. If both teams were fully healthy, this would be, I think, a great game. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is, and I don't think anybody has any faith that Brett Rippon can beat Bill Belichick.
No.
Okay, Brett Rippon showed some flashes last Thursday, but that was against the Jets. So now you're playing a real defense. So, and you already threw 3 picks against the Jets. What do you think the New England defense is going to do? Even without Gilmore. Gilmore won't play. Okay,
Yeah.
he's not going to play. That's certain.
Yeah, he got COVID.
But that defense is still too good with or without Gilmore for Brett Rippon to do anything. So I expect a pretty big win here. This is just an unfortunate season for the Broncos, and I look forward to seeing them back and healthy next year.
Yeah.
But I won't be picking them for very many games this season. So sorry, Denver peeps, because I know a lot of you guys watch this, especially I'm not usually live, but a lot of you guys watch it afterwards. Sorry, but it's not your year. There's nothing you can do about it.
And you have $55 million in injured reserve.
Yeah.
That's just not a recipe for success. And heart goes out to you guys because you guys had, on paper, it looked like that team was really going to show some promise. But next year, for sure.
All right, Arizona at the Jets. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this game. I'm never picking the Jets. So it's going to be every team that plays the Jets is who I'm picking.
Yep.
Arizona, their defense needs work. I'm going to say that right off the get-go. If they had even a competent defense, they would be undefeated right now. Kyler looked good except for the one game against the Lions. But he's still young, so he's going to have a game here or there that's like that. But the rest of the games, they've looked great offensively. That's not the issue. It's the defense. But this is a good way to get your defense some confidence because you're playing a Jets team that doesn't even have Darnold, that has, never really been that good Joe Flacco that's past his prime.
Yeah.
Okay, so they should tear the Jets apart. Arizona, you could give me Arizona minus 17, I'd take them. I mean,
probably, yeah.
You could. I think this is going to be an absolute just murder, 38-7 type situation here. So, not a lot to say. Arizona's way more talented and way better coached than the Jets because everybody's better coached than the Jets. So, anything you want to add to that?
Not really. If there's any Jets fans that even watch this afterwards, I'm sorry that you guys have to deal with this shit. Because, your team on paper shouldn't be this fucking bad. But it's the head coach. Gase has to get out of town. And even with how bad Arizona's defense is, I don't project the Jets to even get a touchdown in this game. It's that bad there. Especially Joe Flacco starting. Not great. This could be a shutout. And it's ugly. Bad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Philly at Pittsburgh. Here you go, buddy.
All right, so last week I nailed the Eagles going into San Francisco and smacking the living shit out of San Francisco. They did. The score doesn't really replicate that, but anyone that watched that game knows that it was a smackdown. Wasn't really that close after halftime. Got ugly fast for San Fran. I have Philadelphia beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me name off a few reasons. Pittsburgh Steelers are the worst undefeated team in football. Look at their opponents. The only team that has a win, the Denver Broncos. Who do the Denver Broncos beat? The Jets. Quality opponents were not there. Steelers have just beat up on some bad football teams. Number 2, the Battle of Pennsylvania. After the past 21 games that these two teams have faced off against each other. And if you look at how the NFL scheduling is facing off, they don't face each other off like that or that much. But when they do, past 21 games, Eagles have won 18 of them. There's a trend there. Big Ben has been rocked for 4 of those. So he does not do good against Philadelphia. Won't do good this time.
What's up, Courtney? Yes, fuck the Packers.
Philadelphia is going to beat Pittsburgh. Put it on the line. Let's do it. Anyone want to bet that? They win.
Okay. I've seen the stat, too. I'm still taking Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's defense is too much for that Philly offense. That's just nothing really there. They're going to have to ride Miles Sanders in this game to have a chance because you can't put it in Carson's hands with not a lot of weapons there. All they got is Greg Ward. As much as Brent likes to talk to him about he's the GOAT.
Let me interrupt you there. Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey potentially are playing in this game too.
Okay, Alshon sucks. Deshaun Jackson has played 1-2 total games in the Eagles uniform
but
in
I'm
2
just
years.
saying, there's some fresh warm bodies on the team. could play a difference. It's not Greg Ward and Travis the Truth Fulgham. All right, continue.
Anyway, say those two play, but it's just not decided if they play. I picked this game with them out, with them out. But it would definitely change a little bit if they're in. But I still don't think they can beat them. That Pittsburgh defense is for real. You can say they're the worst undefeated team or not, but you can't say anything bad about their defense. Their defense is good. It's their offense that the competition that they faced might overdo their offense a little bit. And I heard Juju's hurt. He's not even fully healthy, which is a problem. Okay, but I just think that with the Eagles too many injuries right now, I don't see them beating too many teams, and I think that was more my pick than whether Pittsburgh's good or not than anything. So, if Philly wins this game, I might start picking them again. But as of right now, I have to go with Pittsburgh because they haven't lost, and the Eagles, they don't win very much with this roster. So, we'll see how it goes, though. This was a hard pick for me, especially after I seen the stat. I picked the game before I seen the stat, and then I read the stat, and I thought about changing my pick, but I'm sticking with my guns because if you go against your first instinct, that's when you get bit in the ass. So I'm just going to take it anyway. Pray for me. All right, Rams at Washington. Before I make this pick, I just want to bring up the fact that a friend of mine, from a fellow admin from the NFL Longest Yard and an avid watcher of our podcast, passed away Saturday. Curtis was a huge Rams fan, so in his honor, I'm going to pick the Rams in my pick'ems every game for the rest of the season, regardless of who that may cost me some games. I don't care, but in his honor, I'm going to pick them every week. We miss you, Curtis, and hopefully your Rams do really well this year. So, on that being said, I still have reasons why they're going to win this game. Reason number one, Kyle Allen. Okay, Kyle Allen is starting. He's taken no reps until this week with the Redskins. Sorry, I'm not racist.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. The football team. Sorry, I'll get it down. Until this week. So he's got no connection with those guys with there not being much of an off season. So it should be messy. I do think he's slightly better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins is, but I don't think he's going to be this game because of the fact that he's had just no time with these guys. And that's big in an NFL offense. So they're going to have to ride Gibson big time in this game. And I don't think they're going to. The Rams offense is so high-powered that I don't think they're going to be able to do that because they'll go down quickly. The Rams had an off game last week against the Giants, and it's very difficult for that offense to have games like that duplicated 2 weeks in a row. So I expect the Rams to score big in this game, and I expect a blowout. Kyle Allen was not the right quarterback to pick to play this game. I don't know if I don't know if Alex Smith's not ready to go, but something was weird about them picking Kyle Allen over Alex Smith. So I'm just gonna assume that maybe he's not as good as they like to lead on that he is, because Alex Smith would have a way better chance of winning this football game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see anything good coming from a Kyle Allen start for Washington.
Yeah, usually when you bench a quarterback and say you're going a different direction, especially with such a limited time, they didn't do this on Monday. Where you at least give them a week to practice. They did it today. So even though the Washington football team isn't even that great, I wouldn't even say they're that good. The Rams are. The Rams are the real deal. And I don't think that they'll have a problem beating the football team like they struggled against New York. I don't know what was going on with them during that New York game, but New York had a good game plan. I look for Sean McVay to realize what flaws he had in that game, know that the Washington football team is going to probably try to target the same thing and counter it, so that way they're going to be successful. I have the Rams putting 35 points up. It's going to be ugly. And I didn't know Curtis that well, but the prayers go out to him and his family and all of his friends. I know that is just, it's devastating. And I'm sorry that you guys are going through that.
All right, next game. Cincinnati at Baltimore.
Oh, okay. So the Baltimore Ravens are going to win this football game. There's some news that just came out today that Lamar Jackson did not practice because of his knee. Did not know that he had gotten injured prior to today, so hopefully I don't think it's anything that serious. It's probably just a couple rest days.
I read it was a minor knee. That's what it said on
Okay.
the injury report. It was minor knee.
Lamar Jackson's going to play in this football game, and they're going to win. I don't think that they're necessarily going to blow out Cincinnati because Cincinnati hasn't been blown out yet. And Joe Burrow is playing really good football. He's showing why he was the number 1 pick in the draft over Tua. And just, I don't think Cincinnati's going to be able to keep up with Baltimore, but I don't think Baltimore's going to run away with this game. I think it'll probably be like a 10-point game, maybe a 13-point game. But Joe Burrow's going to hold in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Ravens too. I'm not feeling upset yet. I feel like the Cincinnati team's 100% heading in the right direction, but they're not ready yet. But Baltimore 56, Cincinnati 10. No way, Ryan. No way. We both picking Baltimore, like we said, but no. Joe Burrow's too good for that. I'm just saying it now. Burrow's the real deal.
Okay.
He's a big Ravens fan, so he hates the Bengals.
I see more of like a 24-13 game. It's not going to be crazy, but I don't know. They didn't do that. They didn't completely blow out the Washington football team, and the Bengals are better than that, and a divisional opponent.
Yeah. So I think Joe Burrow's going to hang in this game. I think the Ravens are the better team, and they're going to win. But I think Burrow's going to have a pretty good showing, and I think that he'll have some of the Ravens fans, including Ryan, a little nervous at one point in this game. But I think eventually in the fourth quarter they'll pull away. But the way that Burrow is clicking with his offensive weapons are good. You seen Mixon break out last week. That was good for that offense. If they can really get him going, that'll be key. But again, Lamar Jackson's too good, especially regular season Lamar Jackson. Like he's something else. It's hard to stop. And I know he got stopped in Kansas City, but that doesn't happen very often. He just, if he's not going to beat you with his feet, he's going to beat you through the air because you're worried about him beating you with his feet.
Yep.
Hollywood looks good still. Mark Andrews looks really good. Burrow's what you get when you try to polish a turd. Oh, man, somebody hates Cincy too much. I don't know. I haven't seen hardly any flaws in Joe Burrow's game. And he's not playing with like a high-powered team right now. This team was number 1.
In shambles.
Yeah, he's getting drilled out there. I don't know. I put some respect on Joe Burrow's name, man. But
he's earned everything.
I understand the hate for Cincy, a division rival. I get it with the Packers too, but I can't talk any shit because their quarterback kills us. So, but yeah, no, Burrow's clicking good with his receivers, like I said. But Lamar Jackson's clicking well, especially with Andrews. Last week he had 2 big touchdown passes to Mark Andrews, and that really put the game away against Washington. So we'll see what happens here. I want to keep an eye on this game just to see what the Bengals do. I don't think there's an actual realistic chance they actually win the game, but like I said, I think it'll be pretty close. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I got the Ravens in a decently close one, but not like last possession type game.
Yeah.
Jacksonville at Houston. Houston's going to finally get their first win. The Bill O'Brien era's over. It's hard to not beat Jacksonville. So I'm just going to say that I think Deshaun Watson could carry a team of handicapped midgets and through the game and probably come pretty close to beating Jacksonville. So the fact that Jacksonville had a win was a fluke. If they played Indy again, which they will later this season, they won't beat them again. Okay, it's not. It was a fluke. It was a fluke win. That I don't see Jacksonville unless they play the Jets. I haven't looked forward on their schedule because I don't really care about Jacksonville. But unless they play the Jets, they're not going to win another game this season. Gardner Minshew can only do so much, and he's not even as good as the meme people like to make him seem like he is. He just looks cool and has a cool personality.
Yeah.
He does have some young talent at wide receivers that I think eventually will blossom good, but they're not there yet. He's not there. The running game's not there, although that Robinson guy looks like he's going to be a future star.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that. But just everybody there is too young and not experienced enough. It's kind of like Cincinnati, like I said, but except Burrow's a lot better than Gardner Minshew is.
Yeah.
So it's like a less talented Bengals team at this moment. So I think the future's bright in Jacksonville eventually, as long as they don't run everybody out of town again. But this year it ain't it. So, Houston gets their first W because they're playing a crap team.
I don't have much to add to that. Romeo Crennel, he's back.
Guy's like 80 years old.
Yeah. He hasn't had a great head coaching career, but maybe as an interim, he'll get a good start against Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they're just not a good football team. When you can get embarrassed by Miami on national television, you don't have much credit to go towards the end. Just the magic ran out with that team in week 1, and I don't foresee him getting another win probably this season. Houston gets their first win in this one.
Yep. Okay, Miami and San Fran.
All right. So, speaking of Miami, they're probably not going to win this.
I was going to say, don't do it.
I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be back for this game. I think he's going to need another week. But I don't think the 49ers are going to ride the Mullins train anymore. Philadelphia showed you 101 reasons why you don't start Nick Mullins. And when they put C.J. Beathard in there, he literally looked like the second coming of Joe Montana. He was out there just dropping dimes. I don't even know if he had an incomplete pass until that final drive when he was just getting smacked around. But I think C.J. Beathard's going to get that start. Coleman, he might be getting close to coming back. If not Mostert. Mostert's definitely the bigger name of those two. But Kittle's going to go off. I think San Francisco is going to win this game pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I think it don't matter who starts at QB in this game. Even if they did start Mullins, I still think they'd win. But I'm with him. I don't think they would. Jimmy G is practicing, so he might play. I don't know what that is, but it's. I'm gonna make this pick as if they're starting somebody else. But I think all you just need Kittle and McKinnon alone, I think, and you beat Miami. So I don't think that there's any worry here. Miami, Fitzmagic just had one of his Fitzmagic games, right? Which means he's going to have one of his Fitztragic games now. Because that's how it rolls with him. So they're just trying to keep... Fitzmagic's been around this league for so long. They're trying to they know that they're not going to win this season. They're trying to let Tua sit and learn from him as much as possible. He may not be the greatest QB, but when you have 20 years of experience in the NFL, you have a lot of knowledge to pass down. And so I think that they just know that they're not going to be a competitive team. So sit him as long as possible, but as long as Fitzpatrick's playing, they don't have much of a chance to beat a lot of tougher competition. Yeah, you can beat the Jacksonville or the Jets or stuff like that, but you're going to get hammered by the Patriots and the Bills and San Francisco and any other team that can win more than 4 games in a season.
Yeah.
So it's just right now it's a talent thing. San Francisco is just too much. I mean, even with their entire backup squad playing, they should win
this game.
So again, George Kittle and Jerick McKinnon should be enough alone to just beat Miami. So it doesn't really matter if Garoppolo plays or not to me.
Yeah.
So Indy and Cleveland. This is a game, man. This is a game I want to watch.
What time is the game?
4:25, so we
Okay.
can watch it because the only other games trash fucking Giants and Cowboys and Miami and San Fran that'll be a blowout. So I'm gonna be watching this game. This is between 2, 3, and 1 teams. When Indy should be damn embarrassed because they should be 4-0, but they're both on 3-game win streaks right now. So this game was difficult for me to pick. I'm gonna kick myself for picking this because I've been riding the Cleveland train for a year and a half, right? And now that they're actually good, I jump off. It doesn't make no sense to me, right? Like so. But I'm picking Indy in this game. I think it'll be really close. But no Nick Chubb is big. I know you got Kareem Hunt, but when you had the two of them, it added like a real big punch to that. Well, now you're down to just one, and they can zone in on that. And that Indy defense is for real. I mentioned earlier they're first in like every defensive statistic in the league. They're for real. Xavier Rhodes looks like he's the Xavier Rhodes from 2017. I don't like seeing that because he's not on my team anymore. Like, pisses me off, to be frank with Frank. But so Baker's gonna have to try to put this team on his shoulders, and we've seen before what happens when Baker has to try to put the team on his shoulders. Hopefully Baker's progressed and made the next step, but I'm not willing to make my pick based on maybe and hopefully. But I do think it'll be very competitive. I have this as like a low scoring, like 17, 14, 16, 13 type game. I don't think these offenses are going to light it up. This will be very low scoring, very competitive last second type game. But I'm going to take Indy in this game here.
Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. Cleveland, ever since week 1, has looked like arguably the best team in football. They're just putting points up like crazy. Odell's looking like he's having fun again. Landry's getting the underneath. I mean, the loss of Nick Chubb hurts a lot for this game. And normally, that would be enough for me to swing my opinion to the other team, except for when you have Kareem Hunt as his backup running back. I think that's more than enough. Kareem Hunt actually matches up better against what Indy does on defense than what Nick Chubb offers the Browns. More of a pass catching out of the backfield, elusiveness kind of guy. Kareem Hunt's better in that aspect.
Yeah, where Chubb would just run you over.
Yeah. So I'm giving the edge to Cleveland. This is going to be probably the game of the week for me. This one's going to be a really good game. I just think that Cleveland has the better squad. Really hard for me to pick Phillip Rivers to lead a team to victory. He's been beaten worse teams, but I don't know if he's going to be able to withstand a shootout like he's going to have with the Cleveland Browns.
You think this game's going to be a shootout?
I think it's going to be very offensive powered because what are you going to do with Odell and Jarvis Landry?
Roads closed, bro.
The roads are going to be open if it's Odell lining up on.
Rhodes will cover Odell. That's because Rhodes has been Odell's daddy throughout his career.
Well,
so
we'll see if it continues. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game.
All right. Yeah, that's one of our few picks that are different. So, all right, Giants, Cowboys.
Okay. Cowboys fans, please write this down. It's not going to happen very often. I'm picking your team to win. Not so much because I think the Cowboys are good because their offense is good, the defense is trash. But the Giants suck. I don't think the Giants are going to get a win this year. Without Saquon, that team is going nowhere fast. Devontae Freeman is not a poor man Saquon. There's a reason why no team had called him up prior to an injury happening. It's not good. It's probably going to be a pretty ugly game. The only reason why it might not be is with how horrible Dallas's defense is. That it might let Danny Dimes build some confidence, get some garbage time throws in. But Dallas should run away with this game. It shouldn't be close.
Okay, so for anybody, and I've had this argument with lots of people online, okay? So anybody who's watching this podcast that's ever thought Saquon Barkley was overrated, I want you to look at this Giants team right now.
Yeah.
There are 21 players in the NFL that have more touchdowns than the entire Giants team on the year. 21 individual players that have more TDs than the team. Okay, that is bad. Okay, like at least Saquon kept them to the point where they could at least score decent amounts of points. They weren't like lighting up the scoreboard, but now they're doing anything besides lighting up the scoreboard. Like the punter may have more punts than they score points on the season. Like that's how bad that they are right now. I'm obviously exaggerating, but that's about as bad as what the Giants offense is gonna get. I know they're facing the worst defense in the league, but at some point, it's like, how bad is the Giants' offense? Are they going to make Dallas look like their defense took a step forward this week? There's nobody to throw to. Go ahead, what?
Oh, sorry. Joe Judge, not a great head coach in the NFL. He's already letting that know. I've never seen a coach play to score field goals, and that's so many times this season I've seen him in perfect opportunity to go get a first down, and he has Danny Dimes check it down, settle for a field goal. You're going to lose every time you settle for field goals over touchdowns. Sorry, go back.
Yeah, I never understood why they put him as head coach. And like Jason Garrett's not a good head coach, but at least he has head coach experience. You took a special teams guy and put him as your head coach.
Maybe that's why he settles for field goals. That's all he's known.
Yeah, that's true. He was a special teams coach, so he's a field goal guy. But yeah, so it's just not been good. I don't think this Giants offense is good. I do think the Giants are a hair better than the Jets, but if they ever played each other, it'd be like the worst game that's ever happened.
I would not watch that.
Giants would win that game like 3-0. Like that's how bad like that is. But I think this is gonna be a bad. I just think that the Cowboys defense is not as bad as the Giants offense. That's how bad the Giants offense is. Okay, so I think this is gonna be like a 45-6 type blowout because the Giants defense ain't good either. So So Dak should light it up. He's gonna look like a hero. Cowboys fans are gonna say, "Pay him $50 million." Like that's the type of things that are gonna be coming out after this game. No one's gonna care they played the Giants.
At least we beat the Giants.
Yeah, we them boys. They're all gonna come out of the bushes like, looking like a bunch. Okay. But yeah, this game's not competitive at all.
No.
This is gonna be just a huge blowout. So, good thing for Dallas, they get to play the Giants and the football team twice a year. Minnesota at Seattle. I actually want you to take this one first.
All right. So first off, let me just start with Minnesota has really changed my opinion on how their season's been going. I know they lost to Tennessee, but they played their hearts out in that game. And then they go out and they play great again last week against Houston. I know Houston kept the game close towards the end, but that game was Minnesota's game the entire game. Minnesota is scary again. Dalvin Cook's leading the NFL in rushing. Jefferson is tearing it up. Thielen's tearing it up. The Vikings are turning their season around. I don't know if it's a little too late with this 7-seed format. Maybe it's not. But they're turning the page, and it's good. However, they're facing arguably the best player in football right now in his home. It's so hard to pick against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks when Minnesota has a track record of having Russell be their daddy. So I couldn't, as much as I wanted to pick the Vikings, I knew Coop was going to pick them. I have to try to catch up on our pick'ems. I think I'm like 5 games behind now.
You're only one.
Am I only one?
You're only
well,
one.
I'm going to take the lead with the Eagles and the Seahawks. Let's go. Seahawks win this one probably in a game-winning field goal.
All right. So there's a lot of things going against me in this game, right? The Vikings are 1-3. They don't have Daniil Hunt. I'm just kidding. It's all the things you
We
said.
got the
Vikings
rookie
would be,
corner.
So, but for real, history tells me that they don't win in Seattle, right? Like, I know Brent says the Vikings fans will use that as an excuse. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but when you make picks, like, those are things you look at, right? They don't play well in Seattle. Well, not that they don't play well, but they don't win in Seattle, right? They play decent. They actually make quite the game out of those conferences.
They're not blowout games.
But they don't ever get the W. But the Vikings are in desperation mode right now, right? They know they started off 0-3. They know that the NFC West may send all their division to the playoffs, right? So they got to win football games because they got to be able to knock Arizona or San Francisco out of there because those are one of the 2 teams that are not going to make it. Okay, so they got to knock one of those 2 teams out of there. So they got to win. That's they got to go. They know Arizona's got a lock win. They'll know by Sunday night that they'll be 3-2. San Francisco's got a lock win. They'll be 3-2. Like so. They gotta win. Okay, there's not enough games in the NFL for you to fall behind and try to play catch up.
Yeah.
So basically, they're gonna win this game because they want it more. That's the way that I'm looking at this here. They're playing the last 2 weeks. I don't care that they're 1-1. The last 2 weeks they've played lights out football. The Tennessee game was just a game where both teams played lights out and one team had to lose. They kicked the shit out of Houston last week. I don't care if it was an 8-point game. It was if you watched the game, it wasn't close. The Vikings dominated that game, and if Harrison Smith didn't get ejected, they wouldn't have scored as many points as they did anyways. So, shitty ejection call, by the way. Good penalty. Terrible ejection call. I just want to throw that out there. The Vikings are clicking. They are clicking offensively finally. Kirk Cousins is finally playing well. His first 2 weeks were absolutely awful, dreadful football, and now he's clicking again. Dalvin Cook's leading the rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. Jefferson's got 348 yards off only 16 catches. So pretty much like that dude's going to go out there and beat you. Seattle's defensive backs can't cover anybody. Okay, so they're going to have a field day out there. Where one defense has been staying down here, where the Vikings are starting to trend up now. Their defense is starting to play better, which I kind of expected. Zimmer being a defensive-minded coach. Pete Carroll, also defensive-minded coach. I've said before that this defense is bend, don't break. So I really don't want to have to play this defense in we have to win on this drive type thing, because that's when the defense finally makes a play. So we need to go out there and score early. I don't think they can stop Dalvin Cook. I don't think that they can stop Thielen. I don't think they can stop Jefferson. I think the Vikings are just too overpowered. Russell Wilson's due to have a bad game. He hasn't had one yet. So it's got to come sometime. And maybe I'm just trying to come up with things that could possibly happen to win this game. But we got to win, okay? So I'm taking the Vikings because we got to win. And I put them on my bet sheet because I'm an idiot. So, Vikings, I got this. They usually play Seattle tough, so it's usually close. So I'm hoping the desperation to win is enough to put them ahead. So we'll see how it goes. But Vikings here. So Chargers at Saints in the Monday Nighter. I want to say that all the shit about Drew Brees' arm, he threw the ball well deep last week. I don't think his arm's necessarily gone. I just don't think he's old, and I don't think he likes a sore arm after the game. So he threw the ball deep quite a few times last week, and it looked really good. I don't think he's as washed up as people say he is. He's not Drew Brees when he's 30, but I don't think he regressed like Peyton Manning has. The guy can still play some football. I think that the Saints are plenty talented enough to hang with at least hang with any team. But this is where it's going to come. Drew Brees. This is kind of like the same thing that I said last week when it was Brady versus Herbert. Now you got Brees versus Herbert, right? It's the experience towards the end of games, and you've seen it this week or last week, right? Herbert played great until the game was on the line and he had to go down the field, right? That's the difference between a Brees Brady and a Herbert type quarterback. Herbert made his mistake when the game was on the line. That's what Brady and Brees will never do. Yeah. Okay? And, I mean, the only way that Brees or Brady's making a mistake is if they get jacked when they throw the ball. Because in those situations, are situations they thrive in. Mm-hmm. Herbert's still young, so he's going to just try to make the big play happen, where Brady and Brees knows if you have 2 minutes left in a game, that's plenty of time to 10 yards here, 10 yards there, going on the field. They know that. A young kid's like, I got to get the big play now. No. So that type of football IQ, which is easy to say in our position, but when you're on the field, you think totally different, right? So that type of experience is what causes teams like the Saints to beat teams like the Chargers. I think it'll be a close game. The Chargers have enough talent to keep these games close, as they did with Tampa Bay last week. But it's going to come down to Brees versus Herbert at the end of the game, and I can't not pick Brees. So I'm going to take the Saints because of the QB matchups at this point. So,
yeah. So I watched the Chargers-Buccaneers game last week, and there's something that really stood out to me that is going to lead me to pick the Saints. And they showed a lot of Brady on the sideline. They showed a lot of Herbert on the sideline. When Tom Brady was on the field, Herbert was kind of just having fun on the sidelines with his teammates. He's a kid having fun, enjoying the NFL limelight.
He'll mature out of that eventually.
When Herbert was out on the field, Brady's face was in that tablet. He was figuring out, what can I do to win this game? And he ultimately did. He threw 5 touchdown passes. He figured out where the holes on that defense were, how to abuse it, how to go win that game. Herbert didn't care about the next drive. He was living in the now. If you continue to have that kind of mentality, you're not going to beat the greats like Drew Brees or Tom Brady. It's just not going to. You got to put the homework in. And Herbert has a lot of skill. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who can argue that Herbert's not playing good football. He hasn't got the wins, but minus that Carolina game, he's played really good football, and he's got some leads on some good quarterbacks. But he's not putting the work in during the game, and you're not going to be able to pull wins out like that. And I don't know if Michael Thomas is going to play or not. He's been at practice. He's still questionable. If Michael Thomas plays in this game, then there's no hope for the Chargers. I don't really think there's a whole lot of hope for the Chargers anyway, because Drew Brees knows that he's falling behind Tom Brady in this division. He needs to get wins. Where he's lost, Tom Brady's won. So, minus their week 1 matchup, Tom Brady hasn't lost a football game.
Yep.
So, Drew Brees has to get his ass in gear, got to get that team on his back, and try to keep up with Tom Brady. They needed Tom Brady to lose last week, and he didn't.
And he knows that, so that's why he won't lose this week.
There's a huge difference between a number 1 and a number 2 seed. And I'm not saying that either team's going to have the number 1 or number 2 seed because you still have Russell Wilson in Green Bay. But they're still fighting for that same number 1 seed that Seattle and Green Bay are fighting for. And this year, there's a huge difference between the number 1 and the number 2 seed. That difference is getting a bye week. So Drew Brees knows if he doesn't step it up and win probably the rest of his games, he's not getting a bye week. So look for the Saints to win this game. They want it more than the Chargers do.
Yep, I agree. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.